Good morning, second grade writers. This is Miss Napier coming to you on behalf of the second grade team. Today's lesson will be opinion writing with the book Frog and Toad. So before we begin our digital learning experience, many of you wrote several letters stating your opinions about books that you've read in class. Now, writers, we are going to keep writing about books because it's clear to me and your teachers that you have a lot to say about books that you know and love. But instead of writing such small, teeny letters, I figured that you knew way too much and it's time for you to write some longer, stronger letters. So instead, I thought I'd teach you some strategies for writing those longer, more grown-up letters. Do you think you're ready for that? Good, I think you are too. So before we start today, let's spend some time thinking about what we know about writing letters. So we have learned so much that could help us as we write letters. So I want you to think for a moment. What do you already know how to do? Go ahead, do a turn and talk with your parent, sibling, family member, or if you don't have anyone, you can just turn and talk to the screen to me. And just tell me about some important things that you might do when you are writing your letter today. Writers, I'm sure that you just had some really great conversations about how to start off your writing, how to make it stronger and longer, and everything that you learned in our first band, you probably just shared with your partner. But today, I want to teach you that when writers want to write more, one way to get started is by planning. They take a minute to plan for what will go in each part of their letter, remembering all parts of the book that they read. Writers, take a moment to look at the anchor chart on your screen. These are just a few strategies of how we can make our writing stronger, longer, and more convincing. Maybe you could start by introducing the book, stating or writing your opinion. Give reasons using keywords like because. Also, you want to give evidence from the book using keywords like for example. So these are some strategies that we'll try in our lesson today. Writers, how about we give this a try together? When writers are getting started with their letters, oftentimes they can imagine the different parts that their letters will have. It's a bit like imagining the chapters in an informational book. You can make a plan for a few ideas or opinions that you have about the story Frog and Toad, and then put each opinion on a different page. If you take a look at the anchor chart on your screen, here are some ideas about uncovering opinions about books. Sometimes writers study the characters, their favorite parts of the story, pictures, the covers of the book, the title, and even the lessons. However, today we will focus on two opinions: characters and favorite parts. Okay, writers. So I'm sure after listening to the story Frog and Toad Are Friends, you have so many opinions about these characters. So if you take a look at the screen, you'll see how I planned out what I was thinking about those characters. On one side, I have a list of all the character traits about Frog. How he's hardworking, responsible, cheerful, nice, smart, encouraging, and even a good friend. On the other side, I have some opinions about Toad, how he's so grumpy and cranky. He's selfish, sometimes he can be mad, and he is always sleepy. Did you see how I did that? I planned out all the different traits so that when it's time for me to write about my favorite character, I'll have something that I can refer back to and look at. Writers, as I began writing my letter about my favorite character, I came back to the anchor chart about making my letter stronger, longer, and more convincing. So for this assignment, I wrote to my classmate Evelyn. It says, "Dear Evelyn, in the book Frog and Toad Are Friends, there are two main characters. Do you see how I introduced the book first? My favorite character is Toad because he is trying to be a good friend to Frog. I just told you what my opinion is, and I told you who my favorite character was. But did you also see how I use that keyword because to give my reason why he's my favorite character? For example, in chapter 2 of the book, Toad tries to come up with a story to make his friend Frog feel better. Toad paces, stands on his head, pours water on his head, and bangs his head against a wall. Although Toad is usually the opposite of a good friend, he tried really hard, and that makes him my favorite. So I also gave some evidence from the book by using the word "for example." Writers, I bet you know enough to plan for the two parts of your opinion letter. Remember, the first opinion letter is to a classmate about your favorite character in the story Frog and Toad. The second opinion letter is written to a family member about your favorite part of the story Frog and Toad. So remember, you should have at least 2 pages today. Each page has a different opinion on it. Remember, once you have a good plan, go off and start writing. I can't wait to read your opinion letters. Okay, writers, off you go.